Happy Monday. Let me. So you guys are the only guys on here tonight. Is there anything that you can use?
You're talking to us?
Yeah.
He's talking to me.
Yeah.
No, just overall.
I don't know. Everything you do is always hits the mark, no matter what it is.
Okay, let's do everything then.
All right.
I think we'll start seated. And happy Monday. Nice to see you guys. All right, so finding something that's comfortable and supportive, and then just letting the eyes close and feeling in to the cycles of breath. See if you can release into the final 10% of each exhale. Really try to drop and settle into that. Give ourselves about 30 more seconds here. And let the eyes softly blink open. Let's take both arms and just reach them straight forward, kind of zombie style. So palms down, shoulder blades squeeze back, take that space, and then just start to broaden out into the elbows like we're going out towards a wilted, half wilted cactus. And we'll drop the chin to the sternum. And then inhale and lift the chin to the ceiling. And then extend those arms back out, come back to neutral. Bring the palms together so the fingerprints all press together, and we'll inhale and just go arms up and overhead. And then let's exhale, and we'll transition to hands and knees tabletop. A little shoulder space there. Think about getting neutral into the spinal alignments, laying out those fingers nice and wide. And when you're ready, let's just curl our toes and we'll gently roll back and into down dog. So you get back into that down dog, just think about creating the depth of the shape, just testing the depth of the shape. And then we'll exhale, come back down to hands and knees, and sink back into child's pose. Settle into that child's pose. Take a moment here just to explore the depth available to you in child's pose. And then we'll inhale, pull back forward to hands and knees tabletop. Curl the toes, lift the seat. Find our way into down dog. And then exhale, come down to hands and knees. Flip the tops of the feet and sink back into child's pose. And let's just do this a little bit dynamically. So inhales to neutral. Exhales will take us to down dog. And then inhale to neutral. Exhale will take us to child's pose. And we'll just alternate back and forth there. Inhale is bringing us to tabletop. And exhale is sinking us back into either down dog or child's pose. And if you want to skip one or you want to skip each series, feel free to just move back and forth into what feels right here. Just go through one more motion in each direction. So either that lift, that tabletop, child's pose tabletop, or if you're doing something else, finding our way through those sequences, and we'll meet back in tabletop. From tabletop, just splay the fingers out nice and wide, and then walk your right hand underneath the nose. And then from underneath the nose, walk the right hand straight out as far as you can comfortably get it. And then we'll turn the gaze. So keep the left arm straight and the right arm straight out in front of us. And then just turn the gaze over towards the left shoulder. And then we'll retract the right hand back. Gaze comes back to neutral. Left hand comes underneath the nose, and then we walk that straight out in front of us. Left hand plants, right arm stays straight, and we'll turn the gaze on that right shoulder. Little lateral line length here. And then we'll come back to neutral. Splay those fingers out nice and wide, curl your toes, lift your seat, and find your way back into down dog. So you get back into that down dog, lift into the hips, take that space, take that extra lateral room, and we'll walk ourselves forward and into fold. In our fold space, head lets go. Lateral edge of the body lets go. Think about the torso getting long. Yes, beautiful. Drift your awareness to your sacrum, and let's roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. Stacking the spinal column, coming all the way up into stable version of mountain. Connecting the toe prints here, feeling the quads engage, feeling the glutes engage to create an equilibrium there. And inhale your hands together at heart center. And then interlace the fingers and push the hands straight out in front of us. So we end up arms straight out, right at shoulder height. Draw the shoulder blades back and sink yourself into just a little test of chair. Just dropping the tailbone back and then rising right back up. The arms are going to go overhead. Stay with that finger interlace and come up into a little tiptoe touch. And then we release the heels and exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands, walk yourself back into down dog. Get all the way back into that down dog space. Press down into those fingerprints, lift into the hips. And let's slide our left foot straight forward and into lunge. Left foot lands, right quad flexes. We'll sweep ourselves up into crescent. Settling into that crescent space. Interlace the fingers overhead and just squeeze those shoulders back. And then we release the hands, float the hands back down to the mat, and step the left foot back and into down dog. When you're right, we'll slide the right foot straight forward and into lunge. Sweep ourselves up into crescent. Interlace the fingers here. Give yourself that little shoulder squeeze. Yeah, beautiful. Release the hands, float them back down to the mat. And let's step that right foot back and into down dog. Come down to hands and knees. Flip the tops of the feet, sink back into child's pose, and think about if you want to keep the arms in front of you or slide those hands towards the heel side of the body. Heel side of the body offers a little bit more recovery. I think it's likely there's a little bit more blood flow easily accessible into the shoulders if that's the case, but I'm not sure why that feels quite so good on the shoulders. And we'll just give ourselves about 30 seconds here. You feel right as you feel ready. Fingertips slide back in front of us if they're not already there. We'll inhale, pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, let's take our left leg, side it straight back in front of us so we get that quad to flex. Think about building that strength there and then really stick that left arm so we create a vertical alignment there. Right arm's going to reach out. Gaze is straight down here. So we're looking kind of at the middle of our mat as we extend through the right fingertips and push through the left heel. And then release. Left leg comes back to mirror the right, and right leg's gonna extend straight back. Stack the right arm when you're ready. Left arm reaches straight out. Think about getting the front of the body as much length as is possible. So right heel presses, left fingertips reach. The right arm provides all the stability we need. And then reset back to neutral. We'll go back to the left side. So left leg extends back, right arm's gonna reach out. And this time we're just gonna gaze this down. We're gonna see what it feels like to lift that left leg. So as you're lifting, we're still pushing those limbs in the opposite direction and really trying to lengthen the front of the body. And then relax. And we'll go second side. Right leg extends straight back, toe mound down. Left arm comes forward, then we lift the right leg. There we go. And we get that big length on the front side of the body. And relax. Curl your toes, lift your seat, find your way back into down dog. Let the shoulders breathe a little here. Shift your weight back into your hips, and let's walk ourselves forward and into fold. In your fold, splay your toes, inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale your hands to heart center. Let the eyes close here. Squeeze into the glutes, squeeze into the quads. Get stable in the shape. Give ourselves just 10 more seconds here. Feeling into that stability. And then we're going to let the eyes open, interlace the fingers, press the arms straight out in front of us, and slide the left leg straight back and into lunge. So we have a modified version of crescent here, right? Want to make sure the torso is vertical, even though it looks like I'm pushing that belly forward. It's just sweatshirt. So think about torso being vertical, squeeze the shoulders back. And then once you got the shoulders all the way back into socket, inhale and start to lift them up towards overhead. Shoulder restriction may prevent you from going all the way overhead here. And then we'll release the arms to cactus. And there's a big relax there. And then the arms are going to come back together. So elbows and hands come together as we step back forward, back into our mountain pose. And then we'll interlace the fingers and do this to side two. We extend straight out, right leg slides straight back. Get that verticalness of the torso. And then squeeze the shoulders back, and then we start to lift up from that shoulder integration. Maybe all the way overhead, maybe not, depending how the shoulders feel. And then when we feel comfortable here, when we feel stable here, we exhale out to cactus. The shoulders relax, the hips can sink deeper as that happens. And then the hands and elbows come together. We step back forward and into mountain. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands, walk yourself back into down dog. Come down to hands and knees. And let's sink back into child's pose. Settle into the child's pose here. Torso, gravity, compression at the hips, all happening more or less passively. A little bit of core engagement to lengthen the spinal column. Now, when you feel right, we'll feel the fingerprints in front of us. Inhale forward to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, curl the toes underneath you and lift straight up into plank, and then lower straight down to the belly. And from the belly, we're gonna push the hands out in front of us and interlace the fingers like we've been doing. But now the head's gonna fall in between the arms, biceps roughly near the ears. And then flex into the quads, let the kneecaps lift, press into the tops of the feet. And then release the hands, slide them back, slide the elbows back underneath your shoulders, and we'll come up into Sphinx pose. And in Sphinx, press down into the fingerprints so you feel the front of the body activate, and then lower your head until the compression in the low back is alleviated. And we'll give ourselves about 30 seconds in this Sphinx. This is headed back to that anterior expansion that we did in those alternating leg arm lifts. Really try to feel the front of the belly expand. And that is significantly determined by how much pressure we put in fingerprints. So the more fingerprint engagement we have, the more we can feel this around that abdominals, around the abdominals. And it's fingerprints not just down into the mat, but pulling back towards the elbow crease. And we'll relax. Come down to a little crocodile pose. And we breathe here. So there's this couple who raise turnips. Grow turnips? And they are really well known for growing these massive turnips. Every few weeks, they harvest, fill up this massive turnip cart, and the husband goes off and he sells them. And he's preparing for one of those trips. So he's packing the turnip cart full of turnips, stacking each turnip in its own little place so that he can get as many as possible in the cart, so that his trip will be as successful as it can possibly be. When you're ready, hands slide back underneath the shoulders. Let's press ourselves up to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, curl our toes, lift our seat, find our way back into down dog. Explore the variance in your down dog. Kind of third way into class as comparison to where we have been. And then let's walk ourselves forward. We'll find our way into fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Slide the left foot straight back into lunge. Ground the left heel. And left hand's going to take us up into warrior two. Okay, so we settle into our warrior two. Think about finding the middle of that front leg and bring the arms overhead, interlace the fingers like we have been doing. Really think about pushing straight up here. And then we're going to turn our torso just towards a warrior one and then roll back into warrior two. Settle, find your shape. Two more times we're going to do this. Let's do this the next time. We're going to roll forward, find that nice square alignment, and then roll back. And then the last time we're going to roll forward, roll back, and blossom back into warrior two. Find that little bit of extra depth. Then spin the left heel up, traditional crescent. Float the hands down to the mat, and we'll step back forward and into fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Slide the right foot straight back and into lunge. Ground your right heel, let your right hand take us up into 2. We settle into the shape first. Think about getting settled, then the arms interlace overhead. No index finger guns needed, but you can use them if you want. And then we're gonna roll to warrior 1, just squaring up the hips and the shoulders, then roll back. Settle, find the stability, find the middle of that front thigh, then roll. And settle. And last time, we'll roll to 1, settle back into 2, blossom open, take that extra bit of space, spin the right heel up, we'll come into crescent, float the hands down to the mat, step forward into fold, inhale into half lift, exhale back into fold, and let's sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale our hands to heart center. A little bit of fatigue around the hips likely. Interlace the fingers, push the arms straight out, sink the seat back towards that chair shape. Don't let the fatigue prevent the depth. Really push through into that full depth. And then we'll rise back up and the arms are gonna come overhead. Squeeze those shoulders back and then squeeze the glutes as you squeeze back to create more stability. And exhale your hands to heart center. Big deep exhale, let the shoulders relax. Take your left heel up off of the mat so we get light on that left leg, and then just slide your left leg straight back. Keep the hands right where they are at heart center, and ground your left heel and roll open to the torso positioning of warrior 2. Hands stay right at heart center. We're just gonna tilt the torso forward like we're just pouring a little teapot here. And then make sure you keep that weight distribution not all dumping in that front leg, really energizing the back leg too. And then we'll come right back up. We feel the hips work as we blossom back into 2. Spin the left heel up and hands come to heart center. And then just draw that left leg forward. Back into mountain. Really working those hips. Hands stay right here. We slide, we bring the right leg, the right heel up to lighten that load. Then we slide back. Then we ground to this warrior 2 torso alignment. And then just teapot the torso forward. Like you're trying to pour out. Head doesn't drop, the head stays straight. We extend towards the front of our room. Pushing into that right pinky toe edge of our foot. And then draw right back up. Hips work to make that happen. Blossom into 2. Right heel turns up, hands come to heart center, step back forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. And exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands, walk yourself back into down dog. Let's come down to hands and knees. Flip the tops of the feet and sink back and into child's pose. Settle in child's pose. And then we'll slide the fingers in front of us if they're not already there. Inhale and pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, we'll curl the toes, lift ourselves straight up into plank, and then slowly lower to the belly. Once again, elbows are going to come underneath the shoulders for Sphinx pose. Head positioning, torso positioning in a place where the lumbar feels like it can be receptive to the space we're offering. And then think about pulling the front corner of your shoulders out towards the edges of the mat. So a little bit of, a lot of posterior musculature. Energy is coming from really coming from the musculature that is supportive of the shoulder capsule itself. So it is external shoulder rotation energy without the ability to externally rotate the shoulders because we have our hands planted straight in front of us. And that really starts to activate both the anterior musculature, so belly, core musculature, wrapping around into that lumbar musculature. It's a big ask of that mid body. And we're going to hold this for 15 more seconds. And we'll relax down into crocodile. We'll give ourselves about 25 more seconds here. Allowing for that mid body to relax in. And then when you feel right, when you feel ready, hand slide back underneath the shoulders. We use that strength in the musculature above the knees and the fingerprints to push ourselves up to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, curl our toes, lift our seat, find our way back into down dog. Take the right leg and extend it straight back and behind you. And then we'll step the right foot forward and into lunge. Keeping the hands relatively connected to the mat and the left heel pointed straight up towards the ceiling, start to slide back into your right hamstring. Really starting to get that hamstring to activate into the strength because we need that stability. Push down into the big toe mound on the right foot. And then bend the right knee. Sweep yourself up into a fatigued version of crescent. Ground the left heel and open up into warrior two. Take the hands overhead, interlace the fingers, push straight up, and slide back into that right hamstring once again. So I have triangle legs here. No need for torso adjustment at all through this time through. Just creating that expression, and then back towards warrior two legs, blossoming into warrior two shape, spinning the left heel up, put the hands down to the mat, and step the right foot back and into down dog. Shift forward into plank, squeeze the glutes and the core, and lift back into down dog, and then sail the left leg straight back and behind you. Step that left foot forward into lunge. Keeping the hands as grounded as we possibly can. Slide back into your left hamstring. Get that left hamstring to activate. Push down into the big toe mound of the left foot. We don't need to straighten the leg. We just want to feel the musculature there turn on. Which isn't that hard to feel. And then we'll bend that left knee. Sweep ourselves up into the fatigued version of crescent. Find that space, ground the right heel, open up into warrior two. Take the hands up and overhead. Interlace the fingers here, press up, and then slide back into that left hamstring. So we create that sensation of activity here. Then we will release, bend the knee, release the hands, spin the right heel up, we're back into crescent. Put the hands down on the mat, step the left foot back and into down dog. Lift our awareness to the front of the mat, and let's come up onto the tiptoes and tiptoe our way forward. Release the heels. As the heels come down, try to pick up all 10 toes. And then as the toes are lifted, try to drop your head into the depth of the fold. We get some of that extra high calf insertion this way. Then drop the toes and sweep yourself all the way up and overhead. Exhale the hands to heart center. Settle. Down regulate the respiratory rate if it's elevated at all. Mine has. And we'll sink the seat back in the chair. So we find that nice little neutral anterior posterior alignment. Lift ourselves back up, sweep both arms up and overhead, and then exhale the hands onto the hips. So 4 fingers on the front, thumbs wrap around the back. Take the feet out shoulder width, so maybe like 3 or 4 fist distance, just a little bit wider than normal, and then drop back into that chair. Torso here wants to duck a little bit further forward. Start to press with those hands and drive the hips back, and then bring the head out so that it feels like it's parallel with the floor or more parallel with the floor. Hips are getting pressed back by the hands. See if we can get some low back extension, and then rise back up. We'll release the hands and heel toe the feet together so we get them as close together as we possibly can. Bring the hands to heart center. And think about the core squeezing in, everything kind of zipping in towards midline. And one more time, I believe this will be the last time we do this. We'll sink back in a chair. And then we're going to take a twist. So the right elbow is going to come over towards the left thigh. Head is going to reach out just like we were, but now we have the rotation of the cervical spine, or the rotation of the lumbar spine. The head is rotated, I guess would be a better way to say that. And then we'll come back to neutral. And then left elbow over on that right thigh. Head is rotated, but reaching and extending out. And back to neutral, and rise and sweep the arms. Whoo, little blow out of those hamstrings. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands, walk back and into down dog. Push into the heels here. Really think about creating that distance. And then let's come down to hands and knees. Flip the tops of the feet and sink back into child's pose. Child's pose here, trying to give an opportunity to appreciate the work you did on the hamstrings. Generally, we think of the quad fatigue in those chairs, and certainly the quads feel it, but we had that huge hamstring sequence before. Settle into that space. Let the back of the legs, back of the calves, back of the thighs compress, hips compress. And just breathe here for about 30 seconds. So this husband, when he goes off to sell the turnips, he goes on these long extended trips. He travels until every turnip in the cart is sold. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes 4 weeks, and they never know how long it'll take. When you feel right, when you feel ready, we're going to pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, curl our toes, lift our seat, find our way back into down dog, then sail our right foot straight back and behind us, step our right foot forward into lunge, ground the left heel, left hand takes us into warrior two. Hands to heart center. So same as we did the last time we came through this sequence, but we've skipped the first step and we're going to go right to the triangle legs. Pressure in both feet, and we're going to take the torso towards triangle, but we're not going to worry about the arms at all. So this is an exact triangle replica. It's just we're not reaching down. So we're taking that torso and just taking it forward, and then we're trying to elongate the top of the head while lifting the left shoulder. Still maintaining that strength and recognizing that we have burned out those hamstrings pretty significantly. Bend the front knee, draw yourself back up, blossom back out into warrior two. Spin the left heel up, we'll come into crescent. Float the hands down to the mat, we'll step the right foot back into down dog. Shift the weight forward to plank. Lift the seat back into down dog, sail that left foot straight back and behind you. And we'll step the left foot forward into lunge. Right heel grounds, right hand takes us to two, hands come to heart center. Slide back into the left hamstring. We create the stability. And then once you feel stable, we start to take the torso towards triangle and draw the right shoulder up. Head reaches out, right shoulder elevates. Don't have to worry about the hand drop. And we'll pull the torso back up, blossom back out into two, spin the right heel up and into crescent, float the hands down to the mat, and step the left foot back into down dog. Shift your weight forward into plank. Slowly, gently, delicately lower your belly down to the mat. Flip the tops of the feet, and opportunity for a little baby cobra action. So sternum starts to peel up, gazes straight down, back of the neck is long. The pressure in the hands is as delicate as you could possibly make it. Really thinking about lightening any pressure in the hands, but maintaining their positioning on the mat, just so that we're forced to keep the weight distribution equal. Relax, slide your hands underneath your forehead. Last little crocodile pose here. Easy, fluid breath. This man's packing up this cart for this trip of an unknown duration, which is never easy, when he hears his wife scream in the kitchen, and he runs in, and she's standing there, and she's holding this giant butcher's knife, and he's taken aback by that. It's not a normal situation in the house. Nobody else lives with them. He says, honey, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she says, I saw 2 mice. One of them bit me. They both ran in this hole right next to this cupboard right here. And he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, let's take care of, we wash the finger out. We make sure that the bite isn't a problem. And then he says, when I get back, we'll take care of this mouse problem. When you feel right, when you feel ready, let's pull ourselves up. So we'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders, press ourselves up to hands and knees tabletop, and then just sweep the legs out in front of us so we end up in a seat. And from that seat, as the legs extend out, just follow it into one brief little seated forward fold. Breathe into that shape. We will not be here long at all. We have 15 seconds that we can spend here. And we'll walk ourselves up into a nice vertical spine. Let's grab our blanket / towel. We'll have that handy. And with that handy, actually, let's go ahead and set that up. So we'll make that block-esque. So just something that is easy to access so we don't have to worry about it. We'll set that to the side and then we'll head on to our back. And we settle in and we take the time to appreciate the work we've done. Arms can be a cactus, they can be a T, they can be down by your side, legs can be extended, the bottoms of the feet can be together, knees can be bent. Anything that puts you in a place where your body feels the most receptive. And we'll give ourselves 30 more seconds here. And when you're ready, let's grab that little prop we have. Make sure that you are going to put this in a position where the folded side runs across the body so that you have an equal amount of density on the left and right. We'll lift the tailbone up into a little bridge. So adjust so that you can do that. And then we release the tailbone back down into a supported bridge. And as you come into this shape, let the arms either, obviously you can put them wherever feels comfortable, but cactus or T would be most opportunistic. And then make sure you feel really settled with that blanket prop. We want to be supported and at ease there. And so the wife is kind of saying, I really wish you would take care of this mouse problem now. And the husband's trying to put it off. And he's like, you only saw 2 mice. We've never seen them before. 2 mice isn't really a problem. Obviously, it can become a problem, but we have 4 weeks. I'll be back in 4 weeks at the latest. If you had seen 4 mice, we might have a problem. They always say, 2 mice, no issues at all. 4 mice, there's definitely more. And so she hears this, but she has this skeptical look on her face, and he recognizes that there's a problem he's going to want to solve before he leaves. And so he says, okay, honey, here's the deal. You go finish packing up the cart. I'll take this cabinet off the wall. I'll find the mouse nest. I'll remove it. We'll rest easy. We're going to give ourselves about 45 more seconds here. And so he rips the cabinet off the wall. It's this custom home. He and his wife built it themselves. So he knows kind of all the areas where a mouse could be. And he expects he's going to peel back the paneling behind this cabinetry, and he's going to find it in this little empty space. So he peels back and he looks, and there's just nothing. And he is now in a place where he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have the time to take apart the rest of the house. Doesn't have the time to rip the paneling off the rest of the kitchen. So he decides he's just going to tell his wife that he's dealt with the problem. When you feel right, when you feel ready, let's push into the toe mounds and heels. Lift our belt line high enough into bridge that we can slide that prop out from underneath us. Let the tailbone come back down to the mat. Let the knees come to neutral and the arms cactus or T. And then start to rock your head side to side so that you gaze over towards the left, kind of beyond the elbow, and then back to neutral. And then over towards the right, beyond the elbow. And we'll rotate the head here, back and forth. And then the next time that the head turns over towards the right, let your knees drop over towards the left. And then we'll inhale the knees and the head back to neutral. And the head's going to turn over towards the left, and the knees are going to drop over towards the right. And then we'll inhale back to neutral. Exhale, knees to the left, head to the right. Inhale to neutral. And exhale, head to the left, knees to the right. And inhale back to neutral. And just move here now at your own pace. This alternating rotation between the top and bottom of the body, top and bottom of the spine. And so he puts the paneling back up, he puts the cabinetry back up, and he goes outside and he tells his wife that problem solved. Both mice are gone. She finishes helping him load the cart. He heads off down the road to be gone for some undetermined amount of time. Next time the knees fall over towards the left, let's let them stay there. The head can stay towards the right if it feels appropriate, accessible, at ease for you. If not, come back to neutral or maybe over towards the left as well. And so she goes back inside, and as she comes back inside, she sees two more mice scurrying around on the kitchen floor. She chases them out of the house, and she remembers back to what her husband said, which is, if there's four, there's definitely more. She decides she's going to have to take action. She can't wait now. She's just imagining herself waking up with this house full, infested with mice. When you're right, when you're ready, knees come back to neutral. And then we'll exhale the knees over towards that second side. Head can follow, or it can go the opposite direction, whatever feels most comfortable and appropriate for you. Or it can obviously stay right at neutral. And so she starts just taking the cabinets down and then taking the paneling down, and she rips up the entire kitchen and she finds no mice. So she continues on to the living room. She rips all the paneling down. No mice. Into the bedroom, she rips all the paneling down. No mice. Into the bathroom, she rips all the paneling down. No mice. Now she's checked the entirety of the home inside holes, and she hasn't found a single mouse. Last 20 seconds here. And this project has not been a short amount of time. This has taken her a week and a half to get everything ripped apart. When you're right, when you're ready, knees will turn back to neutral, kneecaps point towards the ceiling. Hips are balanced, shoulders are balanced, eyes closed. Ask yourself if there's anything you could use, anything that would be beneficial for your body before Shavasana. And if there is, offer that. And if you feel ready, if your body is receptive to some stillness, let's just find our way into that. No rush to get there, obviously. Moving through anything that will assist here. And when you're right, when you're ready, just drifting in the stillness. So she has every piece of paneling ripped off the wall, every piece of decoration stacked in the middle of her room. And she's just nearly tearing her hair out, trying to figure out what is going on. And then her husband walks in. When you're right, when you're ready, just completely drifting into your Shavasana this evening. And so the husband gets back from this trip and he walks into the house and he looks around and he sees everything is torn apart. And he sees his wife, says, "Honey, what happened?" She says, "You know, the moment after you left, I walked into the kitchen and there were 2 more mice." And he instantly does the math in his head. And he knows that he has caused all of this destruction and all of her stress. We'll start to bring some movement into our fingers and our toes. Our wrists and our ankles. Elbows and knees. Shoulders and hips. Neck and head. And eventually, we'll bring enough movement into our body that we can transition from the shapes we are in back into a seat. In the seated space, we'll let our spine get tall, breasts get fluid, eyes closed. And we'll inhale our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that the words you share will have ripples and impacts out into the universe, both intended and unintended, and see how that changes your experience. Thank you so much, both of you, so much for being here tonight and so many frequently times. I love the heck out of you. Namaste. Appreciate you guys so much. I tried to get everything. I feel like we did a lot of everything tonight.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Heck yeah.
mile hike and our hips are definitely feeling better with the working on
All
that.
right.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
We went up into South Mountain Park, you know, the big mountain with all the red lights on it.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can walk right out our front door and do a 5
All right.
yeah. So
That's rad. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
weather's getting good. So yeah, come on out.
Yeah. I know I definitely need to, because the weather's not good here. I definitely need to make that happen. I gotta get some sunshine in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Heck yeah.
Hey, if you need a place to stay, we've got like this 5-bedroom house and it's like Skip and I.
Okay. All right. I may take you up on that. See, now you're gonna regret it. I appreciate the heck out of you guys.
Would love to see you, Patrick. Yeah.
I would
Take
love
care.
to see you guys too. I can't wait to see you guys. I'm gonna make it happen. I'll let you know. And I really love the heck out of you. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you soon, if not Sunday, sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Okay, later.
See you guys soon. Appreciate you.
All right,
All
thanks.
right. Thanks so much. Love it.